started, Shalom.
Or either you can point to one who asked for gifts that hold it for you.
No. Alhamdulillah. La ilaha illallah. Praise be to God. We bear witness there's no God but God. We submit to God and worship Him alone. Before I begin, note that anything that I say that's good comes from God. God is the source of all righteousness. Anything I say that's wrong and incorrect comes from myself. And this is a Quranic fact in chapter 4, verse 79. Also within the Quran, God reminds us of a reality that most human beings wish they could forget or don't like to remember. But it's important. But most people don't really like to talk about it. In chapter 17, verse 18, God says, anyone who chooses this fleeting life as his priority, we will rush to him what we decide to give him. Then we commit him to Jahannam, where he forever suffers, despised and defeated. In chapter 76, verse 27, God says, these people are preoccupied with this fleeting life, while disregarding just ahead of them a heavy day. Fleeing life means short, temporary. It has a start and it has an ending. There's an absolute beginning and there will be an absolute end. That's what fleeing means. And that is something that most human beings don't like to think about. They don't reflect on that reality. Have you ever brought up the topic of dying or death with somebody? They don't really like to talk about it. They avoid that talk. They avoid that conversation. Have you sincerely say to yourself, my life on this world will end soon. I'm going to die one day. I will no longer be here one day. Or have you said to yourself, my parents will not be here one day. My child or children or spouses, friends, they will not be here one day. When you have these kind of conversations with people, they avoid it. Say, don't focus on that kind of stuff. That's sad talk. Right? Enjoy this life. You have one life, live it up. That's what most people say. But God reminds us of our mortality frequently in the Quran. In chapter 13, verse 40 to 41, God says, God erases whatever He wills and fixes. With Him is the original master record. Whether we show you what we promised them or terminate your life before that, your sole mission is to deliver the message. It is us who will call them to account. Then the next verse says, do they not see that every day on earth brings them closer to the end? Every day on earth brings them closer to the end, and that God decides their lifespan irrevocably. He is the most efficient reckoner. Every day you're living, you're just getting closer to the end. Every second you're living, you're just getting closer to the end. It's something that believers that we should be mindful of. That one day you will no longer be alive in this world. One day you're going to depart. You're not living longer, you're living shorter. Because in this world, it's a fleeting life, and everything dies in this world. Stars dies in this world. God says in chapter 31, verse 29, do they not see that God merges the night into the day and merges the day into the night, and that he commits the sun and the moon in your service, each running in its own orbit for a specific lifespan? And God is fully cognizant of everything you do. There are pictures right now of telescopes in space where they take pictures of stars far away that have died or in the process of dying. Stars, the sun that we see, no longer there. That's a reality that they take pictures of right now. Everything dies in this world because this world is fleeing. From the big stars to the cell. Dead skin. Stuff that's made up of dust and stuff is decayed, dead, living cells. Even atoms decay. Death is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a mandatory thing. Death is mandatory. This life has a specific purpose, which means it has meaning to fulfill a particular goal. Death is part of that goal. Death is part of that reality. Living in this world, you will come to an end. It's the reality of life. This world was not meant to be forever. So talking about this fleeting life for what it is, a fleeting life, a short, temporary life, it's not depression talk, it's not sad talk, it's not morbid talk. And you shouldn't be sad talking about it. It's real talk, it's facts, it's a reality of life. Moreover, it's focused talk, because our mortality in reality helps us not to forget important things in life. This is why we are reminded of it in the Qur'an. Being mindful of your mortality in this world, being mindful of being reminded of it in the Qur'an, brings about three benefits. Three important benefits. One, it keeps you focused on the truth. It keeps you focused. Two, it keeps you ready and prepared. It keeps you ready and prepared. And three, it helps you remember God. Your mortality and the reality of your mortality helps you remember God. And inshallah, in the second part, we will expand to the Allah repent to God. Praise be to God, there's no God but God. God reminds us of our mortality for reasons. In chapter 3, verse 185, God says, every person shall taste death. Every person shall taste death. Then you receive your recompense on the day of resurrection. Whoever misses hell barely makes it to paradise has obtained a great triumph. This life, the life of this world, is no more than an illusion. Frequently in the Quran, God calls this world an illusion. Frequently. And it's kind of puzzling because it's like, well, I feel pain. I'm experiencing things. It doesn't seem like it's fake. But he says in comparison to the hereafter. This world is an illusion in comparison to the hereafter. The pain that you're feeling is not real pain. The real pain is in hell. The joy that you feel is not real joy. The happiness that's not really what happiness is. Real happiness is in paradise. So in comparison to the real reality, the hereafter, this is an illusion. And it helps you remember our mortality. And that brings out one benefit. The first benefit is that it keeps us focused with the end goal. When you remember things has an ending, you get focused on what you need to do before it ends. So it keeps you focused. Because this life will end. It's a guarantee. It's going to end. All of us is not going to be in this room forever. Therefore, we need to be focused. And being mindful of that reality brings about benefit for the believers. How? How so? How knowing that you're going to die one day is going to bring you benefit now? Because it makes you focus on the things that's important. Petty stuff becomes petty stuff. Imagine if you're working in a building, right? I'll give you an analogy. You're working in a building. And you're doing your report, doing your papers or whatever, and you start to smell smoke. You're like, oh, that smells like smoke. You start to smell smoke. Then you start hearing crackling. Then you start seeing flames. You're like, okay, the building's on fire. You get up, you're about to leave, you tap your coworker, look, we need to leave. There's a fire. And your coworker says to you, well, let me finish this paper first. You'd be like, what is wrong with this dude? This place is burning down. We need to go. Our mortality is being reminded of us right now. We need to leave. Everything else becomes petty, not important, peripheral. And he's still focusing on that petty stuff? That's what mortality does. That's what death does to you. When you're reminded of it, like, oh, I'm not going to be here forever. I need to focus. I need to focus on the reality of life. So when we're reminded of it, that helps us be focused. Guess what? There's purpose to this. God says in chapter 3, verse 157 through 158, whether you get killed or die in the cause of God, the forgiveness from your Lord and the mercy is far better than anything you could hear. Whether you die or get killed, you will be summoned before God. Forget about the ending. There is going to be an ending. And you're going to be summoned. In chapter 6, verse 2, God says, he's the one who created you from mud, then predetermined your lifespan. Predetermine your lifespan, a lifespan that is known only to him, yet you continue to doubt. Yet you continue to doubt. We have a lifespan, a temporary segment that we are granted to stay on this world. I'm 35. Mine could just be 35. Mine could be 40. Yours could be, we don't know. Only he knows. But there's a temporary lifespan there. I'm not going to be here anymore. Knowing that keeps you focused. Knowing that keeps you focused. It helps you focus on the why. Why we're here. God says in chapter 30, verse 8, why do they not reflect on themselves? God did not create the heavens and the earth and everything between them except for a specific purpose. For a specific lifespan. However, most people with regard to meeting their Lord are disbelievers. God says he did not create imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine you're sitting here looking at the expanse of this whole world, this whole earth. So many things, trees, plants, people. All that was just created for you to just eat food and go to sleep and get up? Is that the purpose? All that's for you to just date people and meet up with people? That's the purpose of life? All this is created for you to just do that. God says, why do they not reflect on themselves? God did not create the heavens and the earth and everything between them except for a specific purpose and a specific lifespan. However, most people with regard to meeting their Lord are disbelievers. When you have a limited time to do something, you focus on why and how to achieve that in that time frame. When people code, they optimize the code so much so that they can get it done, get the results done in the most optimized way. Athletes keep performing and training so that they can get their results in the most optimized. So when you know the purpose of life, you should be focusing on getting the most results in that short period of time. Deadlines bring benefits. It helps you achieve goals. So one of the benefits of knowing that we're going to die one day, we're not going to be in this world, is that it keeps you focused. It keeps you focused. Another reason is that it keeps you prepared. It keeps you ready. Because nobody knows when. I'm going to be talking to you right now, then I get in a car crash and I'm gone, and then you guys at the funeral crying for me. Nobody knows when. So you got to be prepared all the time. A good example of this is Joseph. In the Qur'an, Joseph went through a lot of hardship, trials and tribulation. Prosecuted by his family and his brothers, thrown in a well, sold into slavery, got attacked and put to jail. Sounds like an African American to me. Got attacked, put to jail for something that he didn't do for 7 years. Prosecuted. And even through all those trials and tribulation, look how he responds to his life. In chapter 12, verse 100 to 101, he said, he raised his parents upon the throne. This is after he received kingship and status in Egypt. It says he raised his parents upon the throne. They fell prostrate before him. He said, "Oh, my father, this is a fulfillment of my old dream. My Lord has made it come true. He has blessed me, delivered me from prison, and brought you from the desert after the devil had driven a wedge between me and my brothers. My Lord is most kind towards whomever he wills. He is the knower, the most wise." Then he says, "My Lord, you have given me kingship and taught me the inspiration of dreams, the interpretation of dreams. Initiator of the heavens and the earth, you are my Lord, my master in this life and in the hereafter. Let me die as a submitter." He's still focusing on the end game. Let me die as a submitter and count me among the righteous. All those things he's been through, he says, at the end of the day, I'm still going to meet my Lord. So let me die as a submitter. He's still praying for that. After all these things he listed here, you gave me this, taught me interpretation of dreams, delivered me from this. Let me die. Let me not be unprepared. Let me stay focused. He was ready to meet his Lord. So awareness of dying, of departing from this world, keeps you prepared in all situations. Because you, one, focus, and you're not going to be focused on petty stuff. And two, you're going to be always prepared because you don't know when. Everybody goes to work knowing that they're going to leave at a certain time. Nobody goes to work thinking that they're going to be there forever. So they try to do as much as they can by that time. So we have to be prepared. So death in our mortality helps us, reminds us that there's a destiny to this life, and that this world will come to an end. And it keeps us focused and it keeps us prepared. And third, it reminds us of God. It helps us to remember God. How so? How, knowing that you're going to then die, you have an end, helps you remember God? Because knowing that you have an end means you had a beginning. If you have an end, you had a beginning, and who created that beginning? Created things have beginning and they have end. Knowing that you have an end logically makes you reflect about your beginning, which logically makes you reflect on who initiated you in the first place. God says in chapter 75, verse 36 to 40, does the human being think that he will go to nothing? There's people who actually believe that. One life you live. When you die, that's it. Do you really think that's going to happen? Then look what God says after that. He says, do you really think that you're going to go to nothing? He said, was you not at a drop of ejected semen? Then we created an embryo out of it and we made it into male or female? Are we unable to revive the dead? You think you're going to go to nothing and I created you? Look how I created you. You have no control of this process. Think about this. What is a seed? Is a seed alive or dead? The question I'm asking.
Alive.
A seed is alive. People say a seed is alive.
Corbin.
I think it's dead. I think the seed is dead.
But alive and dead.
Between alive and dead, we can debate it. But at the end of the day, as soon as you put water in there, it grows with life. We see the seasons all the time. Trees actually physically die, get resurrected. We are witnessing death and resurrection all the time. All the time. So why do you think it can't happen to us? God reminds us in chapter 76, verse 1 through 5. Is it not a fact that there was a time when the human being was nothing to be mentioned? We created the human from a liquid mixture from two parents in order to test him. Thus we made him a hearer and a seer. We showed him the two paths, Either he is either appreciative or unappreciative. Be prepared for the disbelievers' chains, shackles, and a blazing hellfire. As for the virtuous, they will drink spices of cups and nectar. Talking about dying, talking about death, talking about departing from this world should not be a sad topic for believers. For disbelievers, I can understand. They don't know. But for believers, that shouldn't be taboo. Because in the reality, why should we fear it? If you're worshiping God alone, if you believe in it, you're trying your best to lead a righteous life, and do not, why should you fear meeting God? Why should you fear that? Why should you worry about that? Especially when he described that the righteous is going to get burst. In the Quran, God says you can't even imagine the happiness and joy that you will get in the hereafter. God describes two deaths for the disbelievers and for the believers. He says in chapter, I think I have it here actually. Two types of death for the believers and disbelievers. God says in chapter 79, verse 1, the angels who snatches the soul of the disbelievers forcibly, and those who gently take joyfully. In chapter 16, verse 30 to 32, God says, as for the righteous, when they are asked, what do you think of the revelations from your Lord? They say, good. For those who lead a righteous life, happiness and the abode of the hereafter is even better. What a blissful abode for the righteous. The Garden of Eden are reserved for them, wherein rivers flow. They have anything they wish therein. God thus rewards the righteous. The angels terminate their life in a stage of righteousness, saying, peace be upon you, enter paradise now for the rewards of your works. Why should we be worried? Why should you be worried? Why are you worried about a reality of life? This is going to happen. We all are going to be here. We're not disbelievers thinking that we're going to go to nothing. We're reading the scripture. We know it's true. We know it's flawless. Why are you worrying? That keeps us focused, keeps us prepared, and helps us remember God. God willing, we should be trying to be like Joseph. We should try our best to be like Joseph. All the tribulations and stuff we go through in life, remember that that's just in this life. We're going to meet our Lord. And God willing, may God, our master in this life and in the hereafter, let us die as submitters. Let us die as submitters and be counted among the righteous. All praise belongs to God in Jesus' life.